point.
I mean, just one of the many.
Here, I thought it was Skynet.
No. What, Piccolo, I'm glad I just have one Dirk, too.
I don't know.
I mean,
Think about
I
what
think
we could get done if we had
we will be
two.
responsible for our own fall, so...
Well, yeah, we built Skynet, right?
Well, all I have to say is I eagerly await our robot overlords.
No,
and shall serve them to the best of my abilities.
Whether it's killer robots or dinosaurs or blowing each other up, it's like Dr. Sadler says in Jurassic Park. God creates dinosaurs. God creates man. Man, brings back dinosaurs.
Man creates dinosaurs.
Women rule the world, right? Women inherit the world or something like that. I'm butchering it up like heck.
Oh my god! Yeah,
I was about to say,
it's one of my favorite movies ever. Listening to you is painful.
Life finds a way.
There's a good little meme, just real quick. So the elf on the shelf thing, right? One day when I have kids and they ask why I don't have an elf on the shelf, I'm going to tell them it's because mommy is a Harry Potter fan and doesn't support the enslavement of house elves.
That's pretty good.
Spew.
Oh my god. I'm now going to send an image to you guys in the Discord chat. I don't have a way to get it to the Twitch chat, but you've heard of Elf on the Shelf? I'll let them explain it.
Oh, I love this one.
I don't get it. But I don't watch Star Trek.
Do you want me to tell you?
It's Cthulhu on a Sulu.
On Sulu.
Oh.
Oh my god.
I kept coming with Takai, so. But again, I never really watched Star Trek, so.
Oh my god.
Although, so we were playing Jeopardy earlier with.
No, we got to start the show. We've got to start the show.
Let's go ahead. Okay.
This will be the episode, won't it? It's just...
Yeah, like we have to actually start the show now. Here we go. Oh, Mike, you good?
Yeah, I'm done eating.
Oh, okay, even better. All right, here we go. Ow, jam! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mana Pool. It's been hard to actually get that out of my mouth. During the odds and ends, we were all somewhat subdued, and then once I started the stream, Dirk and Brian decided they wanted to talk a lot.
Have you met me?
So,
and have you
this is the Mana Pool number 576. And this is theoretically our next to last episode of 20, what year is it? 19.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to start writing 20, like 1/something/20 more, and it's throwing me off. You know how it gets when you're writing in dates for the next year, and you're like, this doesn't feel right. So it's like I'm between years.
You are.
Oh.
Spoilers. Now, for our next to last episode of 2019, we wanted to try desperately to get in a special episode. But before we get into that, I should tell you who we are. Except I'm not going to. How about instead, for those of you watching live, you'll just be able to see some things change here. Oh! Whoops, hang on. Oh, yeah, there we go. And then blam. And then also blam. And then some names. Blah, blah, blah. Or some titles, I guess? Blah. There we go. You're right. This is another edition of Brian's custom Mana Pool RPG. The blams with me changing the art and the names on the screen, you see.
Seamless transition.
Yes. So, we're going back to Trivester.
Trivester or Trivester. I write the words, I don't pronounce them. That's up to you guys until, I'm telling you the story. And sometimes I just spell it for them and I let them figure out how it's pronounced. Ha 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 ha.
No, that is to me kind of fascinating. It makes me wonder about the different ways that you think, that you write it out without any consideration for how it sounds and don't even have that part figured out until you're forced to say it.
Well, I'm a writer. Long before I was a lawyer, I was a writer by training. So, yeah. And, let's face it, I'm one of the worst people in this group for pronunciation. So, I think
you heard it here. Brian is one of the worst people in this group.
I'm not correcting you. No. Dude, I'm the lawyer.
Oh, that's terrible.
Hey, at least I'm not. At least I'm not kicking it. Being eaten by a T-Rex on the toilet. So
no, I'm pretty sure it's a 3-way tie, and Dirk isn't in the running for worst person on the show.
He is in fact the moral compass of the group. So
that's right.
So I'm Brian. I'm the lead rambler, tangent master of the group most of the time. I'm still that, but today I'm also our game master, guiding these guys, trying to, I'm not actively trying to kill them, but I'm past the point of holding their hand. So, Chewy, who are you in this setup?
Oh, I'm Chewy. I'm one of the characters. I'm the hot one. And my character is the hot one. Oh! I am the angel. I have a sword.
Well.
And I'm Dirk. And
And screw you, Mike.
And I am Alaric.
What are you? You're a
I'm a monk.
He's a monk. He's a human monk. Born on Innistrad. And his first walk was to Theros, so yeah. And he does not have a sword.
No.
Nope.
I'm Mike. On a conventional episode, I'm the rules guy and the game lore guy. But on episodes like this, I'm Kareem, the soldier, the lovable screw-up.
And just perfect for Mike, because he knows much more about the lore of some of this than we do. Kareem was originally from Chandalar, which I could not have planned that better if I had, actually planned it, because I rolled for random starting planes. And Mike is probably the only one of us that knows more than 2 things about Chandalar. Ironically,
I think I know 2 things.
Ironically, one of my 2 things is how it's pronounced.
And you do a dang fine job of it.
I take it where I can get it. So, last episode we were on was episode on this RPG was 561. So it hasn't even been a whole 20 episodes, right? And this was the trial of Icolnir. Do you guys remember what all happened?
Went through a big cave. And
That's right.
And then we fought a boss.
You did?
Icolnir is a noggle.
Well,
in that body. Nigel is defeated. That's what I had last.
So you were in a big cave. It was actually a maze, and we had a plotted out map. Although it's interesting, everybody was drawing their own maps. At the end of the episode, Dirk was like, "My map did not look anything like your guys's." But you did.
I actually didn't see anybody else's maps.
Well, you said from the way they were being described, but you fought a couple things, some spiders, some coal golems, some people got burned. Mike had the worst rolls on his dice of the entire campaign. Easily.
And that's saying something.
Yeah. He got burned. He got burned more. There was a lot of fire involved in this.
Oh, crap. I need to get dice.
Oh crap. I do too.
You guys don't...
I'm really bad at this game.
Sitting right
How many
here.
times do we have to tell you this?
I just didn't have them out yet.
Wow, I really do not know where they are.
What the hell, dude?
I will BRB. I think I need to go walk around the room a little bit.
I'm halfway tempted to tell somebody else to roll for him, since his rolls last time, he was in some serious trouble.
Well, that's okay, because what's going to happen is Mike's going to be like Johnny on the spot roll-wise this time, and one of the other two of us, it'll either be me or it'll be the angel, will just tank in our rolls. Because it usually happens each time we do one of these, that someone gets amazing rolls, and then someone in the group just, like, they're the kid who there are like 10 rakes on the ground, and no matter which direction you walk in, that rake is whacking you in the face. And it seems to rotate within the group who's the kid in the middle getting whacked in the face by the rakes.
That's true.
That sounds accurate for us, yeah.
There was an episode where you guys were running from beasts in the wild, and Dirk was the one that kept getting stabbed.
That's when I skinned the cat. I skinned the pelt and was like, yeah, this will be great. And then sure enough, I just could not get a break and just kept running into things, and I kept getting hurt. I was like, okay, I'm putting this pelt down. Apparently it is bad luck.
Like the cat's mate. Yeah. Yeah. Is Mike back yet? No.
No.
Not yet.
No.
So
how about what do we do without Mike? Just keep going, and Mike will catch up.
I mean,
so you were making your way through the cave. If you recall, this cave was started at the top of a mountain in the settlement of Brian gets his documents here of see, now I'm looking like I'm not.
So
that's not the case at all.
What I have is that we killed some robots. There were 3 robots slash golems. Goes down. So Angel cuts the last one's head off.
The mountain.
I punch a golem into a stalagmite. Mm-hmm. And go hit.
Okay, we don't need the nitty-gritty details.
No, the mountain is Nivelier, and you were there in search of Icolnir because you're looking for a
key.
He's got it because you went to the tower, and there was the crazy guy outside, and you were like, well, let's go this way, and you're looking for Icolnir, and you made it through the cave after Mike got burned a lot, and you actually encountered a noggle who was not the same noggle you met before, and Icolnir said, okay, you have to, fight me right now. And you try once or twice, you try to talk your way out of it, didn't really work. And in the course of the battle, Mike ended up getting hurt a lot. His Boros scimitar shattered into a million pieces, and toward the very end of the battle, poor Angel's claymore got very melty and smushed.
Mm-hmm.
Totally worth, although I will miss my sword.
Yeah. The episode ends as soon as the noggle dies, you hear a loud roar. A door opens up at the back of the room that you couldn't see before. Another noggle walks in and says, good job. And Mike was saying, now, or Alaric, no, Kareem. I'm not going to do that this episode, I promise. Kareem.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Was like, well, wait a minute. Are you Icolnir? And we said, and that's a good point to stop the episode because it was late. So that is our little catch up. We're going to go right back into it. Any questions, concerns, problems, anything I didn't cover that you're like, well, wait a minute, that's not right? No? Okay, good.
No, it sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good to us.
So you guys are in the middle of a room. Kareem is not dying, but he has shrapnel in his skin. He is bleeding from a couple places. He's down on the ground. The other two are pretty exhausted. And standing in front of you is a noggle wearing this distinctive clothing. She's got that emblem on her chest, the flame surrounded by 2 sets of wings. And she says, congratulations. I didn't know if you'd actually make it through that or not, but you have passed the trial.
Excellent. Well, I'm certainly honored that we were able to prove ourselves for you.
She looks around the room and says, You know, you did have a bit of a hard time with it, but I appreciate that you gave it your all and you were able to overcome the trial. She starts waving her hands through the air, and there's a almost metallic taste in your mouth as
In Mike's case, that's actually blood.
very coppery. As the shards of metal that from the scimitar from Dirk's silver arrows that have laid around start to rise into the air and coalesce and come toward Icolnir. She turns to you and she says, I imagine you have questions. I know you've come for the key, and I have promised it to you. And I promise I will answer your questions as best as I can. But you have been in here longer than you realize. While it may have felt like a few hours to you, 2 days have passed outside. There's a field in my trial area that allows you to continue going and push your endurance without needing food or drink for quite as frequently. But I'm sure you are beyond exhausted. We do have nourishment and resting areas outside if you'd prefer to talk in the morning. She finishes gathering the metal around her, and it coalesces into a sort of cloud around her as she's speaking. She tilts her head to the side. Is there anything you need to know right this instant, or shall we adjourn for the evening?
Did we really have to kill a noggle? Like, I'm all for slaughtering those that deserve it, but it just seems kind of harsh.
At that, she smiles a almost sad little smile, and she does look down at the very charred remains of the noggle that you had sliced the head off of. It may not seem necessary to you, Angel, she says in a loud, booming voice that fills the cavern. But as I told you before, if you're here for the key, then there is a very good chance that you are going into a far more dangerous environment than what I've provided you with thus far. And if you're going to find Donathir and fix what's wrong with Trivester, I can't pin all my hopes on you if you're going to die at the next Baloth sighting. She looks again at the charred remain. Sometimes, she shrugs, sacrifice is necessary. Then she looks up, and she's got a wistful smile. Anyway, I have other noggles.
Well, okay then.
Okay, so that's an interesting bit of insight you just gave us there. So there's something wrong with Trivester that makes it like this? Are you saying it didn't always used to be this way?
No, it did not. I will tell you the story of Trivester, if you wish, but it will take some time. And even here in this cavern, even with your endurance stretched, it will take some time to tell. And you, my friend, she looks down at you, square in the eyes, Kareem, you've gone a round or two.
Or 3 or 4 or 10 or 15.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Well, why don't we all go rest and relaxation and recover and all those other R words?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Excellent.
Some good goblin home cooking, or whoever that guy was.
She snaps her fingers, and a door opens up. Although that may not be entirely accurate. A section of the wall parts, revealing a tunnel, or perhaps is it that there's a tunnel there now that wasn't there before? And as you start to walk down it, you realize that it's essentially a very quick trip, because all of a sudden you find yourself outside, whereas you had spent hours and apparently days traversing this maze. You find yourself outside. If you recall, when you went up Nivelier, there was a series of plateaus built into the mountain, and at each level there was a different sort of settlement or area for a different purpose. You find yourself on what appears to be the third level up, which was the barracks and living quarters.
Yep.
It's not nearly as cold outside as it is at the higher levels, although it does look like it's nighttime when you come out. You're not sure what day it is, but it does appear to be nighttime. The noggle gestures toward the door of a barracks, and the guard standing outside tells the guard, please make sure that these warriors have appropriate accommodations and hot food. I will wish to see them tomorrow. The guard instantly bows very deeply and respectfully and shows you inside. Inside, you're each given your own room with comfy pillows and everything you could want. Do you wish to try to converse with yourself amongst yourselves or anyone else there, or do you just want to play the sleepy time music and head off to bed?
Do 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 bing 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 bing.
Well, Icolnir was definitely right about our weapons not being up to the task.
I don't know what you're talking about. Mine sliced a noggle wizard thing in twain. Granted, it didn't survive, but
I seem to recall
that was a good sword. I'm proud of that sword.
I seem to recall from listening to the last episode again, it caught fire as you finished her off. So
yeah,
it's kind of metal, but melty metal.
Yeah, hopefully she'll be able to set us up with something better. Or at least reform what we had.
Yeah, that was an impressive metallurgical magic display there in the aftermath.
Mm-hmm.
How are you still conscious, by the way?
You know, I've had a rough life. I've gotten used to getting knocked around.
Especially on this adventure.
Yeah, especially on this adventure. But you power through what you can and keep your head about you.
Yeah, okay, Shorty. Maybe you should just take a nap.
So does a doctor come and remove all the shrapnel and everything from Kareem?
Yeah. Some of it was removed as Icolnir was pulling the metal from around. Anything that was at least lodged anywhere close to the surface.
Yeah, I can get a doctor to check me out in the morning.
You weren't, by my notes, you weren't mortally wounded or like permanently wounded by anything. There was the part where the top of Chewie's claymore melted off as you were running into battle and it struck you. But you had a lot of wounds. So luckily, since it has been a while, you do recall that you had a bit of extra magical protection from a quote unquote weird ring that you found in the tunnels. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, you found it. We're like, oh, cool, and just put it on.
Yes, he did. It was definitely reckless, but it worked out. So nobody's keeping any shrapnel in their bodies or anything like that. Don't worry about that.
So do we get to remove all the damage to us, our toughness and everything?
You can remove all the damage to your toughness. Nobody lost any limbs or anything like that. So I have it
that we know of.
When you wake up in the morning, just as a quick stat check, I have Kareem with a toughness of 2, hit points of 3, Alaric with 3 and 3, and the Angel with 3 and 4. So
yeah, I had a little +1 written next to my toughness. I guess that was from some temporary bonus that I forgot.
I think that was a temporary bonus.
Okay.
The angel also cast a spell because both of you called on Tyr during the battle, and when you do that, you get a extra point of toughness. The angel at the last
So you get +0/+2.
Yeah,
as
it's
well as
2.
according
Oh,
to my
thank you.
notes.
The angel actually cast the aura conversion spell to help her finish off the noggle there. And it was a pretty mighty swing. So, yeah. All right. So you awake, rested, filled, and you begin your trek up the mountain again as you're told that Icolnir is expecting you up on the top 7th level. You find a noggle, a different noggle, standing outside the cave, staring across across from the mountaintop across the landscape. She looks at you and says, good morning. I'm glad to see that none of you were permanently damaged in our little contest yesterday. How are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. I can still tell I got banged up yesterday, but I know I'll get better.
Good. I know you've come for the key. I imagine you've also come for answers. She sizes you up. It's clear that 3 of you are travelers, also known as planeswalkers, are you not?
Yes, we are.
That is who we are.
She nods. I am from Trivester. I have never left. But Donathir did on occasion speak of these other places, these other worlds, these other realms. From where do you hail?
I hail from the world of Innistrad, a world of shadow and nightmares, horrors beyond belief. And I have traveled to another realm of mighty beings called of heaven and earth.
She nods. I think I may have heard of this Innistrad. I believe one of our own royalty, a man named Rafe, an Aven technically, was also a planeswalker and did visit there. He had an unfortunate run-in with a particularly dangerous beast, and I'm afraid it left him with an affliction that none of us here were able to completely remove.
That sounds like some form of lycanthropy.
His great-grandson now reigns in the city of Tyr.
And
wait a
curse
minute.
must
Didn't we
have
meet that?
passed down through the family line because we had a funny feeling when we met him.
Yeah.
Wait, who was that?
He was the one that I had a funny feeling about. Like there was a lot of stuff that implied he was from Innistrad or a connection to Innistrad.
Mm-hmm. Or was a...
Yeah, I meant the name. Do you guys remember?
I don't remember.
I appear to have not written that one down.
The great-grandfather was Rafe. His great-grandson, who you met, was named Artosis.
There we go.
The ruler of Tyr.
Correct. I did not write that down. Huh, weird. Okay.
Yeah, we wonder if the curse must have passed down to Artosis as well.
At that, the noggle seems to nod thoughtfully. I have not been able to see the descendants of Rafe, but this curse did seem unusual. I imagine that his status as a planeswalker further complicated the process, plus the natural energies of this realm turned it from something less of a curse and as it was originally intended and more into some sort of infection. She brightened. But I have not heard any tales of the city of Tyr falling, so obviously it has not been beholden to a pack of wild beasts. At least not that I've heard.
I mean, it seemed to be intact when we were there.
She straightens up. Again, I've never been to another plane. I lack the capacity to leave this world, but it is good to hear tales of these other places. My master Donathier would speak of them to me. Have you met Donathier? And she looks at you with an expression that is beyond hopeful.
Not that we know of. We've been looking for him this whole time. Understanding that he's the key to us being able to find our way off of this plane.
At this, she looks a bit puzzled. Off of this plane?
Yeah, we can't leave. We're trapped here.
Well, I'm not sure why that would be. That's a newer development. I hadn't heard of travelers having that sort of issue. At least not lately. But, she shrugs, it has been some time since I have met a planeswalker. It would be difficult for me to think in your limited sense of time. But I know it has been years and years. Still, again, this is not a comforting development, especially on top of everything else. No, she sighs. I figured you had not met Donathier. I assume that's why you were looking, but still, so many things could be set right if we could find where he was. She looks at each of you.
So can you tell us what's afflicting this plane?
I can, or at least I can try. She straightens up a bit. Please don't mistake me. I feel very, very confident. I am the greatest smith that ever was. I am one of the reasons that this plane works as well as it does. I am very, very sure of my own skills. But how do you say people skills? People finding is not one of them. And as far as the state of this plane, while metal crafting, workmanship are my areas of expertise, I'm afraid crafting an entire world is a bit beyond me. The world is not as it was. I feel that many people here have felt this way. Tell me, did you meet the roving civilization in the wild? Or have they remained beyond your notice?
I believe we met them, if I'm thinking about the right thing. A band of Leonin?
Yeah, it started with a V.
It did.
Hang on, I'm scrolling. Shurak was the leader. The Vana people, I think.
The Vana people. This is not supposed to be a quiz, so I'm not trying to. I just didn't know what you guys had written down. That's correct. The Vana. They're led by Shurak now? Interesting. Last I'd heard they were led by an Orochi named Nuir. She must have succeeded him. I hope Nuir went peacefully. No, I'm not surprised. For decades, no one would have been aware of the Vana. That was part of their purpose, was to guide unseeing from the shadows. But Donathier has been gone so long, some have forgotten their purpose. She looks around with a gleam in her eye. I have not forgotten mine. I still do my duty. I still heat the fires. I still fire the forges. But as it is, and she sits down cross-legged, I am somewhat restrained in my ability to move across the plane. What do you see when you look at me?
Well, we see a noggle in fine robes.
And is that all you think there is to me? Do you think a noggle could have done what I did to you?
No.
No, but you
I
asked
wouldn't.
what we saw.
Yeah.
I was merely curious if you could see beyond this, and she gestures outward and then inward toward herself, beyond the trappings of this vessel. This is a convenience. Tell me, what do you know, and she smiles very broadly, about dragons?
I know they're big trouble.
Wait, are there dragons on Trivester?
At the word trouble, she gets a very sour look at Alaric. Trouble. Perhaps some of my lesser brethren. She stands up, and an intense wave of heat rolls off of her, such that even though you're now at the top of the mountain and it's biting cold, you now feel an intense wave aura of heat pouring off of her. I am Icolnir. I am the greatest magma dragon to ever live. The form you see before you is so that you don't incinerate in my presence. I live, my true form resides at the heart of this mountain. I am keeping part of this plane, the heart of it, the heat of it, alive. However,
Whoa.
the flame diminishes a bit. I find it necessary to converse with other beings, and it's usually best if I don't immolate them in the first minute or so. This mountain has...
I can see where that would be a problem.
Thank you very much.
This mountain has a, shall we say, surplus of a particular species. And while I'm not sure if noggle are as docile in other planes as they are here, they are relatively mindless. Some time ago, I spared a shaman of the noggle from a beast attack, and he, perhaps carelessly, perhaps not, made a pact where he would allow me, they would allow me to use their bodies as I saw fit. That is why, she looks at the angel, while life is precious, I did not have any qualms about sacrificing a single noggle to you. After all, I needed to ascertain your abilities. And if you encounter any great difficulties in trying to find Donathir, I need to know that you will do what is necessary. She shrugs. It is unfortunate that you were somewhat injured in the contest. I am glad that you are well. And I am sorry about the loss of your equipment.
Yeah, you were right when you said you didn't think our weapons were fully up to the task. You were right to be skeptical.
She laughs. Well, I am the greatest smith that has ever lived or will ever live. But they did you better than I expected. You know, and she has a particular gleam in her eyes, she says this. I am looking for new projects. I was able to salvage some of the raw materials of your items. If you feel that you can wait here for a while longer, I can make you items, the likes of which you have not seen, using those materials that will undoubtedly aid you in your journey.
Well, we would all of us be honored to be wielding weapons from the greatest smith in the entire world here.
You can tell she's getting into this conversation a little bit. Yes, yes. She's rubbing her hands together and she's thinking. Remind me. She points to the angel. You had some sort of sword. It was a bit long and bulky for my taste, but what it lacked in subtlety, it certainly had some bite. Would you be requiring something similar?
I would absolutely love, a sword made by your hands, great lady.
Do you still have the hilt of that sword? I think I got...
I'm going to assume that I picked it up out of just, what's the word? Just love for how well it treated me.
She takes it from you. She turns to Mike. She turns to Kareem. I'm sorry. You, my friend, had some sort of curved sword at the beginning of our onslaught, but it looked like it had already seen some hard times and it didn't last very long. Do you find such a weapon to be adaptable to your taste?
It was well balanced. It was well made at its heart. It was a good working sword. I did like it.
And she turns to Alaric. You, she scoffs a bit, who seems to have such a low opinion of dragons. Perhaps I can change your mind. You seem to be fairly adept with those arrows. Would you care for something in kind?
Absolutely.
Ask for a gun.
I'll not allow it. She says, she starts rubbing her hands together. Again, excellent. I think you are well chosen for these weapons, and I will be happy to make you something that should aid you. However, I find that the best weapons are those that have a little bit of something of their owners in them. So, she turns to the angel. For what I will make for you, I require just some small part of you being what you are, perhaps something, a feather from your wing or a lock of your hair, something of that sort.
Well, which would you prefer?
That choice is up to you. While I can make a great many things, what you give me, what you choose to give me in the creation of this product says more about you and informs the final product than I could ever choose for you. And she points to the others and she gestures. All of you will have this choice, so think amongst yourselves and give me something of your own that when I craft for you, I will have something already of yours to bind to these items.
Well, if she can do what she claims with weapons, which I don't doubt at all, then I think something easily given up like some hair will probably not have as strong an effect as something less easily given up, like one of my feathers.
She has a very, very excited look on her face now. You give her a feather from your wing?
Yeah, I can't do it though. Kareem, could you pull one of the big ones out towards like the end there?
Really? You're asking me to do this?
Yeah. Just count to 3.
Okay. Just don't pull this against me later.
I feel like I should make you roll. Roll something.
That's why I'm picking you.
I feel like I should make you roll something, but this is probably okay. Just don't yank out the whole thing, all right?
All right.
That's why I'm picking you, is because I've already got stuff to hold against you, so one more won't matter.
That makes a strange amount of sense. All right.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, that's a good one.
It actually.
Thank you.
As you hand it over, it actually does appear to be a very fine specimen. Icolnir looks at it very greedily and puts it into a pouch. She turns to Kareem. Yourself?
Gosh, I don't know.
She looks at you inquisitively. Are you using both of your eyes currently? No. I'm sure that you need that more than I do. But you do get the uneasy sensation that she is sizing you up.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Curse your frail human body and needing 2 eyes for depth perception.
Does it have to be a piece of my body, or can it be a personal possession?
A personal possession, she thinks about it, threading her fingers through each other as best as she can because they're, hooves to a certain extent. If it's an item that you have some connection with, it will probably suffice.
So speaking out of character, I'm wondering if I should just do the RPG thing or try to come up with something like actually personal that I'd have on me.
It's up to you, man. Speaking out of character as well.
Yeah.
What's the RPG thing?
The RPG thing is to see what I can get by trading in the weird ring with the blue stone.
That is the RPG thing, yeah. That doesn't really have a personal connection to you, though.
No, it doesn't. That's the problem.
Yeah. I like the way I got choices, and you guys, he just looks at you and goes, "Whatever, y'all, figure something out."
Yeah,
And I'm like,
I was
yes,
just trying to give you a suggestion, and
Hell, do I have any loose teeth?
I'm.
We got a lot of blood samples around, so.
It's up to you guys.
Yeah, you bleed all the time. Just slice something open. You'll heal up. It's fine. Oh, got to mute.
So for me, the bow has been my connection to my home. This is my Avacyn bow.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Are you giving that up to her?
I asked what you think you may be able to do for me with this bow. Will you be able to give me a bow of greater strength?
She looks at you with newfound respect. Well, regardless of what the dragons you've encountered may or may not have done to you or made you think of them, you have put some thought into this. She runs her hand over the bow. I can tell this has been with you for some time. I can tell that this is a memory from your past that you have used in your present. This will do nicely. As far as my ability to make something you will use, have no fear. I will give you a weapon of great worth. If this is given to me freely, I will give to you something of immeasurable value.
Then I will give you my bow freely.
All right.
And with my thanks.
She takes it from you, and she holds it perhaps even more reverently than the feather. She goes into the cave and comes back out after having placed it inside. She looks at Kareem.
Do you have the hilt of the sword? Because your sword like got shattered, right?
It got all the way shattered.
Yeah.
And in the ensuing chaos, if I think I have my notes, the hilt would have ended up somewhere around the noggle when it burst into flames. So it was probably.
My understanding was that it was completely destroyed.
It was the salvageable materials were salvaged already by Icolnir. But since the angel would not let go of her sword hilt till the bitter end, that had to be given up.
What other items do you have?
It would have to, like, the stuff I have listed in my possessions is just trinkets and junk, my shield and daggers in the canteen and some bacon and the world map,
Bacon? That's the greatest gift ever.
There you go. Problem solved.
So,
we've had the daggers since the beginning.
Yeah, I know. So, these plates of armor that I have worked into my clothing here, it's a memory of one of the formative planes that I spent a lot of time in on my journey, but part of it also reminds me of some time I spent in bondage there. So they've been very, useful in a practical sense. Protected me a lot over the years, but I think it's finally time to break free of those particular memories once and for all. Do something more constructive with them.
Icolnir has a very strange expression on her admittedly donkey face. This may be the wisest decision of all three of you. She brings her face closer to the armor as you unbuckle it. This is filled with a deep resonance, a resonance of pain and triumph and suffering. And she turns and slowly looks you in the eye. And my dear, it's quite true that from what I saw, a little extra protection couldn't hurt. But please don't think I'm glib. I accept your offering and will give you something worth tenfold. After you've given her the armor, she goes and puts it inside along with the feather and the bow. She comes out and says, "These items will take a little time to prepare, even for a great smith such as myself. I imagine you had other questions relating to Trivester and Donathir. I'll be happy to answer them as best as I can. One moment, please." And she suddenly grows very still. Inside the cave, you hear movement. And while you can't see all the way inside, it does sound like things are being moved. A door opens and then closes. And then the noggle snaps back to attention. My apologies. While I can split my consciousness between more than one noggle at a time, in fact, she laughs a bit, it's a bit necessary as, well, quite literally, all of me in one of their heads would be a very, very bad idea. It still does take some concentration. But while I, the real I, am procuring your items, I should be able to converse. At this point, it's going on noon. The sun is well above the mountain. And you look out as she gestures. And you can see a great deal of the plain. You can see the slope downward of the mountain. You can see the vast forest of the deep green laid out in front of you. And in the distance, to the south, you can see some of the top canopy of the great tree poking up just over the horizon. So, she turns to you. What do you want to know?
Did we ever get an answer as to what was wrong with the plane?
She laughs a bit.
I don't know, did we?
Is that a question for her, or are you asking amongst yourselves?
No, we didn't get that far in the conversation.
So, go with that. What is it that troubles this plane?
She laughs a bit. As I said before, world building is not quite my strength, but it's something you feel. It may be that some denizens of this plane have not felt it. They go about their daily lives, especially those that did not interact with the so-called travelers. But that right there is part of the problem, a symptom, if not perhaps the entire disease. We simply don't see travelers, planeswalkers, to any great extent anymore. In fact, they're quite rare. But the plane is not as it was. While we still have life here, it is not life as it was, not life as Donathir intended.
Life as Donathir intended. What do you mean by that?
Donathir is a great man. He is a planeswalker like yourselves. You may or may not have guessed that on your travels. Tell me, have you been to the great city on the island? Have you been to the library? Have you spoken to anyone there?
Yes, we have. I went to the library, tried to do some research. We did speak with one of the curators, docents there. Looked to be some kind of a wind elemental.
Yeah, Aerodeth.
Ah, yes, Erda. Very good. Very good. I imagine that they were able to answer some of your questions, but not many. Eredith is, in fact, a creation of Donathir.
Really?
She nods. Yes.
Huh.
There are 3 of you. I think it was intended that there would be 3 of us as well. 3 servants would be the wrong word. Assistants, perhaps, to the great Donathir. Donathir was the only planeswalker among us. So even I, who was with him near the very beginning, don't know his entire story. What I do know is what he wanted. He wanted this plane to be a haven. Some might call it a preserve, whether it be for base creatures or intellects, people from all walks of life and any walks of life. Everywhere could be here. This plane was to be a sort of utopia. Tell me, you've been through the deep green, that vast forest. Before you met the Vana, did you notice any significant difficulty in traversing the deep green?
Walked forever.
At this point, I'm gonna elbow Kareem and be like, "Yeah, did we have any difficulties?"
Yeah, it felt like it was trying to confuse us on purpose.
It was. She laughs. It was, and she points at you. I see you understand. It was. You've been to a handful of settlements, correct? Did it ever occur to you that these settlements did not have any communication with each other? They did not seem to send envoys or have any sort of knowledge of the workings of each other.
No, they seem to be independent of each other.
That's correct.
They knew of each other's existence
To a certain
mostly, but that's about it.
To a certain extent, although some of them are more isolated than others. You see, Donathir wanted to be able to accommodate people of different walks of life, different interests. He wanted to be able to have this plane where things could survive and thrive in as natural an environment as possible, not just the non-thinking, non-sentient creatures, but creatures of higher minds, And those minds inevitably have different cultures and different ways of thinking and different expectations. So, to accommodate that, the deep green serves as a natural barrier. Only the most hardy travelers and traders are able to traverse it, and those that are deemed worthy are escorted by the Vanna. Those that are not simply find themselves
an attraction, part of the zoo, part of the group of people who are part of the preserve.
She looks at you. You seem to be a bit cynical, sir. I wouldn't necessarily call it a zoo, although I do think I'm familiar with that word. You know, Donathir told me once, we had many conversations. We have lived hundreds of years together in your human years. And he told me of many places. And on one of those places was a society of people always tinkering. The mimic? No, that's not right. Something like that. Never content to simply let life grow naturally, combining, fusing things. She looks at Kareem. Who ever heard of a shark octopus anyway? And she put her hands down. No, Donathir was not, and she looks at Alaric and points, was not creating a zoo. He was not creating an attraction or a circus. He was creating a haven. Part of the way that to maintain that was to allow these societies to grow independently of each other. That way they would not compete over resources. When you were traversing the deep green, did you notice that fires, other natural disasters did not seem to leave any permanent damage? Did you notice that fruits would grow back almost not instantaneously, but very rapidly when they were plucked? It's the natural magic of this plane. It's to try and keep life growing and sustaining in and amongst itself naturally, but not allow the sentient creatures to wage war on each other. But part of maintaining balance is also allowing others to observe. Not, again, she looks at Alaric, not for amusement, but for research. And so, hence, Donathir's guests, the travelers. The travelers were always welcome here as guests of Donathir to traverse the plane under his guidance, under the guidance of the Vanna, to observe the creatures, see how they acted in as natural a habitat as possible, and to take the lessons they learned here back with them. Somebody gonna say something?
As natural a habitat as possible. So Donathir took all these people, took all these beings from their home worlds and trapped them here, just like we're trapped right now.
She laughs. It is unfortunate what's happened to you, but keep in mind, Donathir settled Trivester thousands of years ago. All of these creatures that you see are the descendants of the descendants of the descendants of the originals. I understand that there was a time when it was much easier for certain beings to move through the planes and to take other things with them. And as a result of that, Donathir was more able to effectively populate this world. She draws herself up. You may have ethical concerns about the ways that these things were brought here, but I assure you, nothing living here, except for yourselves, of course, started life anywhere else. Whatever else they may have been before, they are wholly, deeply, and completely citizens of Trivester. And everything worked. the travelers would come and go. The civilizations maintained peace through isolation, intervention by Donathier and his associates when necessary. And then Donathier left.
So the previous travelers that came to this plane, they were always escorted by Donathier?
She nodded. As far as we know. Now I understand that these beings, travelers such as yourselves, were once infinitely more powerful than you are now. No offense, she adds with a quick laugh. So I can't say for certain that some couldn't get here without him. But with the structure of Trivester being the way it is, it was very easy for him to track when there was a new arrival, so to speak. I think there may have been one or two travelers who were less interested in peace and more in taking what was available. But Donathier was able to convince them to leave by force or other means if necessary. And we enjoyed peace. Again, until he disappeared.
Are we the first planeswalker or the first travelers that have come since he disappeared?
She shakes her head. I do not believe so. I believe that there have been others, but you have done very well to reach me. I have heard whispers, but because of my condition, because of my physical limitation, I cannot go out and search the plane as others can. Even my control over these noggles, if I get too far away from my actual body, starts to weaken.
So Donathier trapped you too.
Trapped. She taps her foot on the ground a couple times. Once or twice I may have actually used that word, even considered it for a while. But remember, I am a smith. I make things of wonder. I came to this plane of my own accord. Granted, I could not get here on my own, but when Donathier made his proposal to me and told me what he was trying to accomplish, I jumped at the opportunity. No, I flew at the opportunity. The great town of Tyr. Who do you think created it? The Avon King? The magnificent city on the lake? Everything you see before you, I had some hand in creating. She shrugged her shoulders. And I am not a planeswalker. I am no more trapped here than I would be trapped on any other plane. Here, I have servants, dwarves, and yes, noggle, centaurs, who all see to my needs. I create, I destroy, I rebuild to my heart's content. I am a part of keeping this plane alive, even though the originator is missing.
But you can't leave the mountain to see any of it.
I am where I am. Should I desire to leave, I could break through tons of rock, claw my way to the surface, and set everything I love aflame simply from being there. Between my own size, my own power, my own connection to mana that was amplified with Donathier's help, I am a danger to anyone around me. This way, I can create. If you're trying to make me sad about my situation, we could talk until you're blue in the face and I'm finally growing cold of old age. I am not unhappy here, but I am unhappy for what has happened. Donathier's missing, and the plane seems to be somewhat lessened. There's less order to the carefully controlled deep green. There is the little bit of communication that was necessary between settlements has evaporated.
For our part, what can we do to help?
I've grown a lot more appreciative of you. You at least asked some very smart questions. She folds her arms. That all depends on you, I suppose. You came for the key. I will give you the key. If you find Donathir, find at least what has happened to him, and if you are able to restore him, then I think that things will return to the way that they are supposed to be. I do not know what all you will encounter, but I think if you are able to track him down, everything will return to the way it was supposed to be. And then we can continue to create new life. We can continue to create and observe what happens here.
Is the tower the key to... Is the tower the best lead we have to find Donathir?
She nods. I think so. The tower is Noatun. Think of it as his central command, his home station, his castle, to put in plain words. But for him, someone like him was always on the move, perhaps more of his home, while he was never in one place all the time. Some of his secrets must be there. Because he did not know exactly that he could trust every traveler that came along, he had me create a very special door with a one-of-a-kind key for that tower. You've been to the tower already?
Yes.
Then you will need the key to go inside. Again, because I do not know what happened to him, I do not know what you will encounter. Given my spatial limitations, even if I were free of the mountain, I would never be able to enter. So I am entrusting you with something I simply cannot do myself. Once you have this key, you will be able to enter the tower, find the clues as to what has happened to him, find him, I hope, and restore him. She looks at the three of you again. As I said, there were three of us back in the day, and we all had our functions, much like the leader of the Vanna was to guide travelers, make sure that they could come to no harm when necessary, and otherwise try to deter other travel between the Deep Green. We all had our functions.
And who are the other two?
I was the second. And there was a man named Gander. Well, he used to be a man. He had some sort of function. I never completely understood it, but he knew much more about some of the mystical arts than I ever did, especially those that pertain to more ethereal matters. He worked somewhere to the south of the Great Tree, Drazil. And I think he had some knowledge about how exactly the plane itself worked in a way that I couldn't understand. She looks at Alaric. I can see a potential conflict. I will give you the key and go to the tower. You must. But there may be some value in seeking out Gander. He may have some additional knowledge for you. But, she shrugs, it's up to you which way to go. I cannot tell you the right way to proceed because I don't know what's happened, Tom. If you intend to seek out Gander, and she gets very stern at this point, be on your guard. He was a human when he started to assist Donathier. But whereas the leader of the Vanna was allowed to pass naturally from one descendant to the next as deemed by their own custom, Donathier determined that for his other assistants, he would need people of longer lifespan, shall we say. Myself being a dragon, I don't intend to die anytime soon. But Gander was a human. And I believe he allowed himself to be changed into something more permanent. And I think that process affected him a certain way. So I can't say exactly how you'll be received. But again, whether you seek the man or you seek the tower is up to you.
Who's the third?
Donathier was the third.
Oh, Donathier was the third.
Well, Donathier.
No, Gander was the third.
Gander. The leader of the Vanna. Icolnir. And Gander. But she pauses a second. There may have been a fourth, a successor. But I haven't seen her in some time. She was to be an envoy between the others. Sire, a woman. But certainly she wouldn't still be alive by now. I have not seen her since Donathier did.
Wait, we found that name on a note.
A note? Do you have the note? She looks at you with keen interest.
Okay, out of character, was that the one that was written in my handwriting?
Mm.
Yes.
Because for some reason I didn't write that down.
You didn't write that one down?
Yes, we took it.
Out of character, yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Well, let's hand it over then.
All right, pulling that up in my notes. So you hand over the note, and it is written in the angel's handwriting, and it says, Donathier, Sire is coming along well, should be ready to assist you soon. She taps her foot, reading, and then rereading. She looks up. Yes, I do believe Sire was training to be a successor to Donathier. She was to continue his research in the event that he had attention elsewhere. Being a planeswalker, I can only imagine that as much as he loved this plane, well, the three of you are planeswalkers. I have been told there is a certain wanderlust that comes with the ability to be everywhere, to go anywhere. And I think Donathier, for as much as he had accomplished, always with his mind on the next thing, was thinking about what to do if he had to leave. But again, my understanding was that she was not a planeswalker. And I'm not sure if Donathier did not train her himself, who would have trained her? She looks at you, piercing. Do you have any idea where this note came from?
Not in any way whatsoever, but this handwriting is... I'm almost 100% certain that it's mine. I have no memory of ever coming to this plane or Donathir or anything, but I also have no memory of lots of things.
She stares at you for a good 2 minutes.
I am very hot.
While that is the case, and Icolnir, of course, knows all about hot, you begin to get the sense of she's trying to figure out if you're full of it or not. And finally, she just says, "That's unusual."
I agree.
She gets a little closer to you and says, "I have lived here for hundreds of years. I know Donathir. I don't know you."
Well, on that subject, great lady, we are alike.
She starts back. Is it that you don't remember who you are? Or is it that none of us remember who you are? What is the scope of whatever this is that's happened to you? Could it have affected more than just yourself? Then she stomps her foot and says,
That I can't tell you.
she stomps her foot and says, this is not, even for a 1,000-year-old dragon, this is not my area of expertise. I remember every day since the day I hatched. Perhaps it would be good for you to go see Gander. If there's something that he knows about, it's how magic works. Just be careful if you do. She tenses her hands. So we know that Seer was being trained, whether by you or someone else, to help Donathir. We know that all of us had our purposes, and then some time ago, Donathir vanished. And before you ask, I do not think he left us to our own devices. Not without any final word. It is not in who he was. Part of me feels strongly, almost like he is still here and yet hidden. You find Donathir, and this plane will be restored to what it should be. Seek out Gander if you can. See if there are any signs of Sire. Maybe her memory, maybe whoever she talked to. Maybe she can give you some sign, or what she left behind can give you some sign. But something is not right. The sun is setting at this point. She stands stock still again for a minute, and then comes back to herself. It seems that I'm just about done, the real me, with some parting gifts for you, as promised. But before I present them to you, is there any other information I can give you about Donathir or Trivester?
Speaking out of character, honestly, at this point, I have no idea. You've sort of just dumped an assload of exposition on us, and I have no idea how to sift through it.
That's all right. I'm not doing this to trick you. I'm allowing you to progress naturally.
I don't know about naturally, since it's been like a day or two in our character times, and it's been like 3 months for us.
True. But one thing, while we're speaking out of character, one thing I have tried to learn to do a lot less of is what we call it, the cut scene, where I'm like, you enter the area, and this is exactly what the guy tells you. So I have a whole list of things he can talk to you about, but, and I promise you, this is not a quiz. If there's something later that you need to know and you don't ask him now, or you don't know what to ask her now, it will still come up. I just didn't know if this is your opportunity as players as well as characters. If you feel like there's anything else you need connected that she might know, feel free to ask. Otherwise, when you're done, just say, press X to cancel or whatever. So, you're not going to mess it up, man, I promise. And it is a lot to sift through. So, any other questions for now, gentlemen and lady?
No.
Nothing I can think of.
She stands up and stretches. It has been many, many years since I have seen travelers, since I have had anyone to speak to about Donathir. As I'm sure you can imagine, the dwarves, while well-intentioned, care very little for the matters outside of this mountain. And noggles, she laughs. Well, it's an interesting experience having a conversation with 3 of yourself at the same time, but it yields very little insight. A procession of 2 other noggles, I guess it's less of a procession, a pair of 2 other noggles step out of the cave. Each of them is carrying a tray laden down with objects. Thank you for your patience. And thank you so much for your help. I truly hope that you can help restore this plane to what it should be. He turns to the angel. One of the trays is brought forward. I understand that you loved your sword, or sword. The claymore was excellent material, but I found that if I could reinforce it, it might hold up better. She holds up a gleaming longsword, a bit thinner than the old claymore. It glows almost bluish steel in the dusk light. This is tempered with a metal called Ethereum. Perhaps you've heard of it on your travels. It is exceedingly rare and has certain magical qualities that I think will help make it a potent force for you. Take it with my thanks.
Ooh. This is... I can feel it.
And in fact, as you hold it, there is a small jolt that goes through you.
Oh, yes. This is a good sword. Thank you, great lady.
She nods. You're welcome. You know, some of my patrons ask for me to name my weapons. What a ridiculous thought. She laughs. But I think you should name them. Once you've had a chance to try it out for a while. A name of a weapon can be a great thing, but only if it fits. She then reaches back behind her and pulls out.
Sorry, I just got a picture of the angel lopping some thing's head off and going, I shall name you Steve.
Oh, now when that happens, you're going to be like, aw, called it. She turns back to the tray, takes something wrapped up in silk, unfolds it, and hands it out toward you. It's a gauntlet that at first appears to be made out of silver, but as it gets closer to you, you see the last rays of sunlight glinting off of it, and you realize it's mostly a steel plate, but almost covering the steel at most of the joints is a crystalline substance. She says, "This is a unique artifact I had actually made a little while ago, and I had no one to pass it along to. It is a crystalline gauntlet, and you will find that it will help you not only to wield your sword, but while I don't claim to know a whole lot about magic, that was besides fire magic, of course, That was a very impressive spell you used to augment your skills at the conclusion of the battle. I appreciate that kind of magic. Anything that helps my weapon strike truer and stronger. Truer and stronger is a magic worth its mana. This will help. It's getting late. This will help you focus your energies when you're fighting. You try on the gauntlet, and it is a perfect fit. Are you right-handed or left-handed? Is the angel right-handed or left-handed?
I would say who, me or the angel?
The angel.
I would assume. I don't know. My claymore was two-handed, so I never really thought about it. I'll just assume left-handed because it's me.
And we'll assume that Icolnir was watching you fight and knows how it works. So congratulations, it's left-handed.
Yeah.
Yay! She turns to Kareem. As you lost your scimitar, as the cheap thing exploded into a million pieces upon my brilliance, I do think that that weapon suited you, were it not for its fragile state. She takes a similar looking weapon, but as she hands it over to you, your first instinct is that because the sun has now set, you're simply not seeing the metal properly. But as you raise it up, you realize that it apparently is made out of a almost glassy black substance. She tells you, what I have done is I have bound the steel shards to an obsidian base. Now, obsidian is usually a very fragile material. She laughs, much like yourself. But here has been tempered with dragon fire, and it will not fail you. The shards will reinforce the obsidian, and the obsidian shall hold them in place. This will be a great weapon for you, soldier.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I apologize if it seemed I was getting disrespectful earlier. There was just something about our topic of conversation that was getting to me.
She waves it off. That's fine. Turns back, has the second tray brought up. The plate that you gave me, the one soaked with a history of sadness, of an inability to escape. We kept that because that is part of your past, but it was tempered, reforged anew. This is made of an ore that is only found in this mountain. With no other name for it, I simply name it Nivelier. So, take it with my thanks. She hands the plate back to you, and at first glance it looks like it's unchained. But you notice that it appears, while slightly heavier than before, it has an almost warmth to it that seems at odds with the coldness of the mountain. And as you slip it back on, it fits, if anything, even more comfortably than before. All of your old dents, some of them still appear to be there, but it does not appear fragile or frail at all. She turns to Alaric. And for the mighty hunter, with a thing for dragons, she says, with a heavy note of sarcasm. Your gift of the bow was very symbolic. What I have done is I have kept the core of the wood, shaved it down, and encased it again in this Nivelier ore, refined, reforged here. You'll find that it's a bit longer, but it will shoot just as true as it ever did for you. And instead of the string that was here before, I have bound it with a rare hair of a creature that no longer exists on this plane. Some called it a Kirin, others called it some kind of unicorn. I don't know that it really had a name, but this string will never in your life break until you yourself are dead. She hands it over to you.
I take this in great thanks.
You're welcome. And just to show that I can do more than make a little bow into a better bow, I believe you also shot some silver arrows at me. It was a bit annoying, but I was able to collect the silver and reforge, and what I've done is I've added a little bit of dragon fire to each. She hands over, and you lost 2 silver arrows. She hands over 6 arrows. Do not confuse these with your other arrows. If I'm going to give them a name, I would call them pure fire arrows. They are silver, but each has a core of a minute amount of dragon fire. Whatever you shoot with this, if it is in fact your intended target, then strike true, because upon striking, it will immolate the foe.
Whoa.
Also, I believe in certain places, silver is considered a holy metal, one of some sacred significance. So you may still find that this has certain particular properties against enemies that don't care for such property. And finally, as I left the others with another parting gift, I give you an amulet. And from around her own neck, she takes a gold amulet with a stone set in the middle in the shape of a square and hands it over to you. May this protect you when you need it most. Finally, she turns back to the angel. And I suppose you'll be needing the key. And she rummages in her pockets, gets a look on her face, starts to go back inside, and then says, "Oh, wait," and pulls it out of what appears to be a very old rummage bag and hands you a golden ball. Gold might be too strong a term. Might be more like bronze. Looks like it's not been cleaned in a while. It's smudged. Appears to be perfectly round. Doesn't appear to be scratched. It's about the size, somewhere between a baseball and slightly larger baseball. Right, I don't really have a great. It's a little larger than the baseball. She hands it to you, and although you first look at it like this does not appear special, she warns you this is the only key of its kind. Even I can't make another one. Do not lose it. It will get you into the tower. And that is where we end our exposition, disposition, Brian Talkie episode a lot today. You guys okay?
I guess next episode we have to figure out if we're going to go track down Gander.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gonna be spelled Gandr. So that's how I think.
Okay.
There you go. Gander,
who is south of Drazel or whatever the tree.
Yeah.
Or go back to the tower.
Yep.
And if I pull up the map real quick, where are we?
You are.
We're in the northeast.
Yeah, you're in the northeast corner.
Oh,
Yeah.
It looks like we should go by the tower on the way then.
You can, or you can circle around. You can wander around the woods for years and years and years if you want, or if Mike's leading.
All right.
So I am sorry. This one was kind of an exposition dump. I knew this was coming, and it's just the way it was. So, but next time you get to try out your new bling, assuming it doesn't take you a whole session to get off the mountain, and to run into something. Not that I'm saying you should go pick fights for no reason, but you do have a new sword. So.
Oh, we're picking fights.
I was say, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of fighting in the next episode.
Make up for this one a little bit. It does feel like one session tends to be a little more exposition driven and exploration, and one will be very combat heavy. And
we seem to go back and forth pretty regularly.
Yeah. So hopefully this is a little something for everybody. Hopefully. I'm hoping you guys are enjoying the environment, the world building that we're doing here. So if not, I can take criticism. Just don't tell me it sucks. Tell me it could use improvement. Don't be like, but
it sucks. I do think there might have been a better way to get some of this information to us than having us stand on top of a mountain talking to a donkey person for like a full day.
A dragon donkey person.
Because really, this wasn't really much of a role-playing episode. It was just sort of a
It was.
Oh.
It was.
But this is still your first go-around, so we'll cut you some slack.
I appreciate that. We actually did a decent amount of RPG episodes in 2019.
Yeah.
As opposed to, 2018.
What? All right, well, let us wrap it up then, gentlemen.
Yeah.
All right, well. My brain is full of a lot of information, and my sheet is full of a lot of interesting facts and information as well. So I look forward to the next round.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So that way we can break in our weapons.
But not break our weapons, because we already
Yes,
did
let's
that
not do that.
Little
I have a brand new bow.
Little does he know that the next episode I've planned is, in fact, a dating simulator.
I knew it. I knew it.
Then I'll definitely get use out of my sword.
Yeah, I'm not touching that one. Not at all. Not with a 10-foot sword.
Struer and Tronger.
It's late, man. And last night I was up late too. So anyway, but Dark, final thoughts?
I look forward to the next episode.
All right, good night, yo.
Dark's like, shut up and let me go, God.
Well, I'm on a 2-hour delay, so.
Yeah, I saw.
You're on a 2-hour delay. Is it only 8:15 where you are?
Mm-hmm.
You're hilarious. No,
Thank you.
They've called it for Davidson County as well, and I know why they do it.
Why?
But it's because there's supposed to be freezing rain. But it's so frustrating.
Yeah, I saw Brian tracks on the road when I was driving home from work.
Brine. I could have sworn you said Brian tracks, and I'm like,
so did I, and I'm like, what is that a euphemism for?
But no, it's so frustrating. I don't know if Dark can relate to this, but when I have to go to work at my usual time, and Carrie has to go to work at her usual time, but we have to wait 2 hours to take Sam in, that's so frustrating. And then everybody's trying to drop their kid off at the same time, and the road conditions are sometimes hazardous. I would rather either just have them go in at the usual time or cancel it. The delays drive me crazy. What's your opinion on that as an actual teacher?
I would prefer to be in school, mostly because what happens is when they say, we're gonna call school and everything, all the teachers go, yeah, oh, man, because that usually means that they're gonna take the days from somewhere else, and it's always inconvenient.
That is true, because we have to make up the days somewhere, right? So
yeah. So I mean, I'm usually fine with. I would prefer to have the delays, because that just means that I can usually get stuff done in the meantime, and it also means I don't lose a day, because losing a day is the worst.
I can see that.
So yep, that's all me.
Alrighty.
Mike? Or Brian or somebody?
I'll let Mike go first. Since when does Mike get to go in front of me? Go ahead, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, it's nice to get back to the RPG, even if this was much more story time. We still learned a lot about the world and everything in it. I think I accidentally got a few elements of my secret backstory mixed up when I was talking about something earlier today, but I think I've been able to figure out a narrative patch to fix it up and make it all make sense.
There you go. Retcon. Just do whatever feels natural, Mike. Do whatever.
Yep.
Wait, didn't you make up the secret backstory?
I did, and it's been so long since I wrote it that I mixed up some of the details. But I figured out a way to fix it, I think.
With the delete key?
Well,
that's not it. That's what I meant to say right there. Tap, type, 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 type.
Basically, just a way to explain something that I said earlier in a way that makes it jive with what I had wrote months and months and months ago.
That is kind of the issue with doing this sort of thing, like spread out as much as we have. So, Mike, Sam told you that she was going to go play D&D. Did she tell you how that went?
Yes, she did. That was one of the things that we talked about when we were chatting at the restaurant. She talked about how that went.
One of the many things, I'm sure. So, yeah.
Yeah, she said she had fun.
Yeah. So it turned out, and she may have mentioned this, that the little beginners campaign that my brother did with us when we saw him in July, that's the campaign that they started with this. So she's like, the DM is explaining and basically got to a point where they're supposed to escort a caravan, and I guess it's like in the beginner's handbook, like, standard thing. Yeah. Get to a part where you find the horses dead, and she's like, "I know this," and the DM's like, "Oh, well, can you not tell the others?" And they didn't get as far as we did, and yet still, like, 3 people died. So. But not Sam. She apparently killed lots of goblins, like with a sniper bow.
Yeah, she said she got to be a rogue.
Yeah, halfling rogue. So she had a really good time with that.
Nice.
Halfling rogues are some of the best kinds of rogues.
I've never met a halfling rogue I didn't like. I've never met a halfling rogue I did like, though. So.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's this guy named Tolkien that wrote a lot about halfling rogues.
Burglars?
See?
Yep. Anything else?
Right.
I kind of took over your final thought a little bit, Mike. Anything else?
No.
Well, for my final thought, I really hope everybody's enjoying this. I really do appreciate criticism. I do. But I also do put a lot of time into this. It's not just like I'm sitting here being like, let's do this next. Let's do that. So I do appreciate the feedback as long as it's constructive. And I truly hope that everyone, not just these guys, although principally them, but I hope the listeners, viewers on YouTube, all that sort of stuff are having a good time with this as well. And we'll get into this a little more, I'm sure, next week, because next week is our planned final episode of the year. I will say that it's been an interesting year, not just for the episode, but for, on a personal level. And yeah, hope everyone listening and watching is doing well with their lives and everything's going okay. That's it. Chewy?
Yay!
Uh,
Yay. Well, that just leaves me, and I will say, hey! Manipool Productions is a Patreon-supported endeavor. So if you would like to help out while I make, 2 podcasts a week and at least 1 YouTube video every day and streams throughout the week that's all free for everybody, then the best way to do that is to go to patreon.com/themanipool and become a lifeguard. You can get Manipool episodes and YouTube videos early. What's going up on YouTube right now? Link's Awakening, still. I just did the 3 videos of the set review for Descent of Dragons, a new set in Hearthstone, with the help of Brian and Mike.
Hey!
And then there's a pack opening episode where I opened up all the packs. It ended up being 152.
Has that been posted yet?
Yes. Went up, what's today? Thursday?
Thursday.
And the set came out Tuesday, so it went up yesterday.
How about how long-ish is that episode?
It's, I don't know. Hang on. It is 112, an hour and 12 minutes. Not 112 minutes. That would be awful.
I might check it out later.
Yeah, I am a filthy luck sack, finally. It seems like I alternate between having amazing pulls and just being straight disappointed with my pre-order pack openings in alternating sets.
Then I will definitely watch it later so I can yell at him. And if you think that's a great idea, you should check it out too.
Yeah. But if you want to hear what we think about all the cards in the set, we've got the other 3 videos for that, so check that out. Also, like I said, Link's Awakening, I've got more of that coming up very soon. I actually rendered episode 16 last night and was uploading it. And I was trying to find episode 15 so I could get a screenshot and make a thumbnail, and it turns out I never rendered 15. I just edited it. Whoops.
Oops.
So that... Hey, dummy. And also, I started the... I guess technically the 3rd campaign, the 2nd DLC campaign in Shovel Knight, the Spectre Knight campaign, Spectre of Torment. And I have 2 videos of that done that will be going up. Probably a couple of them are up already by the time this goes public. So Spectre Knight is a lot of fun and has drastically different like mobility than the other 2, which allows you to do some really cool stuff and also allows you to accidentally dash into a hole and swear. So, hey. But I wanted to get it done because the King of Cards expansion was coming out soon at the time that I started, that I did the first stream of Spectre of Torment, and in fact has since released. So
I thought I saw
once I'm done with...
Yeah, go ahead.
Do what?
I was just going to say I thought I saw some videos up on that already. So that's come out already?
Yeah, it came out, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll be putting those up too. So it'll be Link's Awakening and Spectre of Torment running side by side with, now that the Hearthstone set is out, peppered in with some Hearthstone games once I do another Hearthstone stream and play some of it. And it'll be awesome. Yay!
Yay! Dirk's still here.
Dirk is still here. So, other perks you can get by becoming a lifeguard on patreon.com/themanapool. You can get access to the odds and ends, which is stuff recorded before and after both Monday Night Magic and the Manapool. It's a behind-the-scenes sort of nonsense where we talked about... What did we talk about before this episode? Like it was... I think the Hearthstone was after I stopped the odds and ends and we started the stream. I don't remember what we talked about.
Well then, you should become a Patreon member.
You'll have to go find out by becoming a lifeguard. But you can also become a Mythic lifeguard and get the in-screen sponsorship shout-out and the sponsorship shout-out on both podcasts. So... I would like to thank... Oh, God, wrong button. No.
Don't mess it up.
I would like to thank... It's too late. I already screwed it all up. I would like to thank our Mythic Lifeguards, Jason Doan, Kim Ho, Andrew Hunt, Al, Lance Delicious, Team Hellas Haru, Connor Kennedy, John Morris, Alex Gonzalez, Scuzzo, Jeff Spencer, Stuart Slaw, PJ McMullen, Sophia Bertain, Casey, Faye Says, Danny Liao, Cody Buckowing, Jake Jansons, Jason Kaus, Gothic Man, Stark Maximum, John Parker, Violet Moon, Aleph Cat, some guy named Mike, Dan Holm, Bartle, Backwards Logic, and the Beast Father, Aaron Goodwine. Thank you all so very much for your support, and in fact, all of the patrons and lifeguards at every level, because I quite literally could not do this without you. Like at all.
It's true.
Not even slightly. So with that, I guess we'll be done with the Mana Pool number 5, 7, 6. Yes. And we will be back, hopefully, next week. Nothing will go wrong, and we'll be back with some other episode that's actually Magic related. Maybe. You'll have to find out. So, thank you all so very much for joining us, and go play some Magic, or some RPG, or a Magic RPG. Hey!